So in this video, we will be discussing some of the newest and hottest fragrance releases. Hi everyone, I'm Jolima and this is my channel Scented Moment where we discuss everything about perfumes. So in this video, I want to share with you my first impressions on some of the newest and hottest fragrance releases. So on last Saturday, I went to Crème de la Crème store here in Vilnius with my fiance to try some of the newest fragrance releases from popular brands and some other not so that popular brand, but still I want to share my first impressions on these fragrances. So without further ado, let's get started. So the first fragrance is from the house of Amouage, and Amouage, it's one of my all-time favorite perfume brands. Now in my collection I have over 20 fragrances from Amouage. The majority of them are from the Christopher Chong era when he was the creative director at Amouage. Now we have Renaud Salmon, and he is the creative director, the new creative director for almost 5 years, if not 5 years already. Gosh, time flies. And I still have a few fragrances from this new age, new era of Amouage, but I would say that they are not as, impressive as they once were. Nonetheless, they're still pretty good from the most part, but is it the case in these new fragrances that I'll be discussing? So the first one from Amouage is Purpose 50, and this is brand new, released this year, earlier this year. It was, I think, announced even in January. And now it's available in perfume stores to try and purchase if you are really in love with Purpose 50. So Purpose 50 it's an interesting one. I was expecting a massive dose of incense because the original Purpose, and this is another interesting thing, is that Purpose was released very recently, like a couple of years ago, and they already have an extrait version of that fragrance. Maybe it's a great seller for them, but I really don't know about that. But it's still interesting to see that a new-ish fragrance has already an extrait version. And so the original, it's quite incensey heavy, and although quite linear, you have like a suede, spicy nuance in there, but it's all very mild. The incense, to me, at least on my skin, is the thing that it's the most pronounced, and actually it's a quite pleasant incense. So I was expecting that the extrait, the incense, would be even more thick and more pronounced and more rich. It is, but just in the opening. So the opening, it's very lemony. It has like this lemony, incensey opening, and which lasts for quite a while now, and I love the opening. The opening is really the best part of this fragrance for me, and because as this develops, you get more vanilla, suede, definitely suede, and Akigala wood. Now, of course, and this was created by Canton Biche, the same nose behind Ganymede, and he's literally everywhere now, and especially in Amouage. I mean, he's creating a lot of new fragrances for Amouage, Purpose being one, and now the 50, the extrait. And whilst I do appreciate Akigala wood, I do not feel repulse like a few reviewers feel with Akigala wood. Akigala wood is basically a molecule from patchouli, and I do like the smell, but not has a soul note. And in Purpose 50, from the mid to the dry down, it's basically Akigala wood, especially in the dry down. In the dry down is literally just Akigala wood. So basically the fragrance on my skin goes into this beautiful, natural smelling, resinous, thick, this lemony incense fragrance, turns into still incense, but into a more vanillic suede, a bit of rose in there also, which really gives complexity and really kept me thinking where this is ending and where we are going from here. So it was very interesting until the mid. From the mid until the dry down, I think it's where the fragrance really disappointed me the most, because all of those nuances disappear and then you are left with Akigala wood and suede. And it's not even like a suede like in, think of Anubis by Papillon Artisan Perfumes, which is like a very thick, heavy, suede note, almost like animalic. It's nothing of the sort. It feels very mainstream, and then you have this massive Akiyala wood that I really overtakes everything in the dry down. And then really the dry down, after a few hours of wearing, I mean long hours of wearing, I just smell like yellow wood, just like a yellow wood. And that kind of disappointed me because I was expecting something more specific, especially considering the price tag. It's almost 500 euros retail for Purpose 50. So of course I'm expecting something more, especially coming from Amouage. So it's like, I like it, but I to this moment, as first impression, not enough to purchase a full bottle of. Of course, never full retail. It's not worth 490 euros. Absolutely not. So if I would eventually grab a bottle, it will be on a very reasonable price, but I still need to test it more. I like it, not enough for a full bottle. So we shall see how the fragrance will behave on next wears, but so far it's a nice fragrance, likable. It has some depth, but the dry down is really where the magic disappears. The next fragrance, also from Amouage, this one it wasn't released this year. I think it was released last year or a couple of years ago. Now I don't remember even. But I know that it's extremely popular nowadays, from Amouage, and it's Guidance 46. Now, I'm not a huge fan of the original Guidance. I think it's very mainstream, easy to wear, easy to like, doesn't smell like Amouage. And I know that the die-hard fans of Amouage they say this very often, that, oh, the new fragrances from Amouage don't smell like the Amouage that we know previously. Well, and it's true. And I mean, for that you really need to try the fragrances from the Christopher Chong era, your interludes, your jubilations, your reflections, all of those fragrances, Journey, Epic, Memoir, both for men and for women. And then you see what we mean when we say that, oh, these new fragrances are very different. And they are, objectively they are. They are not as daring, they are not as interesting, not as unique. And it's definitely, there was a shift in the Amouage brand, and you see that they are catering more towards mass appealing, to have more mass appealing fragrances. They are releasing constantly, like, tons of new fragrances every year, and you see that, and that's totally different from what Amouage was doing previously under Christopher Chong. I mean, if they were basically releasing 2 fragrances per year, if that, and now that mindset completely shifted. We can agree or not. I mean, I definitely understand at the end of the day, brands, they need to make money. Of course, one can say, aren't they making enough money already? But, well, I think that's another topic, and I'm digressing here in this topic. So, Guidance 46. Again, not a fan of the original Guidance. A gourmandy, floral, creamy, vanillic fragrance that I think it could have worked really great, but if it would have that Amouage touch, that heavy incense, maybe even a touch of oud or an animalic quality to really give more personality. As it stands, it's just another mass appealing gourmandish fragrance that it's extremely overpriced. So Guidance 46 finally give it a proper wear, test it on my skin, just like I did with Purpose 50, by the way. So test it on my skin, love the opening. Again, another trend here with Amouage. It seems like they are working towards the opening of their fragrances, but then they can kind of forget about development. So Guidance 46, it starts off fruity, pear-like, with this almond, cherry blossom like, and it's quite pleasant, though nothing new, nothing groundbreaking, but it's very pleasant and very creamy as well. The almond really gives like a creamy nuance in here, and I love the cherry blossom with the pear. Cherry blossom even reminded me briefly of Chanel's Comet, which was released last year, but it's just in that cherry blossom accord. I even think that Cherry Blossom is not even featured as an official accord in Guidance 46, but I do pick like this cherry blossom like feel, maybe because of the hazelnut and also the almonds that gives that impression. I'm not sure, but definitely I feel like a cherry blossom feel with pear and almonds. Really nice, very pleasant, definitely a bit more feminine leaning, but still unisex. However, it's from the opening. While, for example, Purpose 50, it's more like in the dry on that it was disappointing. Guidance starts to be disappointing. Guidance 46 starts to be disappointing right from the opening. Because from the mid until the dry down, I really get this very harsh synthetic rose smell that it's off-putting for me. It's like smelling like a detergent with a detergent product with rose smell. Literally how I perceived this rose used in Guidance 46. And I don't detect any incense, and I really don't feel anything more. For me, that harsh, piercing, synthetic, artificial smell rose, it's overwhelming and really kind of overtakes the entire scent from the opening, and it's something that I really don't appreciate. I get the vanilla quality in there, but it's this very harsh synthetic rose that ruins it for me, really. And performance-wise, it lasts the whole day, and same with Purpose 50. I mean, Purpose 50 even lasts the day after. It's mind-blowing in terms of the performance. But in Guidance 46, it's really not for me. Again, might give a second chance, but I'm really more leaning towards Purpose 50 because I still did enjoy the fragrance. And Guidance 46, and again, 490 euros, almost 500 euros for this type of perfume. It's just mind-blowing. So yeah, very disappointing with that one. It's been receiving a lot of hype, but in this regard, I don't get the hype at all. And now let's talk about the Essences collection. I finally tried the 3 fragrances that are part of the Essences collection that were released last year, and they all come in this different bottle style, like barrel style bottles. They actually do market those perfumes as like each one having 30% of perfume oil, and all of them went through an aging process of 6 months in an oak barrel. Is it true? Is it not? I don't really know. How that impacts the fragrance itself as well, I don't know. That's not explained by the brand, so we can just speculate here. But, well, this is just what the marketing of Amouage says regarding these 3 fragrances. So in the Essences, they basically represent the past, the present, and the future of Amouage. So we have Reasons, we have Lustre, and we have Outlands. Actually, Lustre is the one that I think it represents the past of Amouage. Reasons, I think it's the present, and Outlands, the future. But let me know still in the comments down below if I am kind of mixing here, which one is the past, the present, and the future. But this is just to give you an idea what the essences mean, although there are many videos about this line, but this is just my take on them. And so I tried actually Outlands a few weeks ago, but I didn't really talk about it because I really wanted to wait and try the other 2 fragrances. So now I did, and I'm here comfortable enough to share my first impressions, although with Outlands I have a bit more experience, but still more first impressions. Now, bear in mind, these 3 fragrances, unlike Guidance 46 and Purpose 50, I didn't try on my skin. Outlands I already did in the past again, but Lustre and Reasons I haven't. So I will just share with you my first impressions, but based on test strip. And I definitely do want to test them more often, especially on skin. But again, raw first impressions here. Let's start with Lustre. Lustre was created by Julien Rasquinet and Paul Guerlain, and Lustre is a very mellow fragrance, and this is the best way to describe this one. It's a mellow fragrance. It's basically a ambery, soft sandalwood, creamy type of perfume with some incense, with some spices lingering around, but it's ultimately this type of perfume. To a certain extent, I kind of get an impression, and I reminded myself of Jubilation 40 by the same brand, of course, Amouage. It reminded me of that because of those resinous qualities, but that image kind of fades away because it's a very, again, very mellow, very soft type of perfume. I liked it, but not enough to try immediately on skin. But definitely, again, I do want to give it a proper chance on my skin nonetheless. But it's a nice fragrance. It's a nice ambery, sandalwoody, soft type of fragrance. I mean, nothing really mind-blowing, but it's one that, again, I want to make a proper judgment on skin, but out of the test strip, it was nice. Then we have Reasons, and Reasons was created by Bertrand Duchaufour, which is none other than the nose behind Jubilation, Amouage Jubilation and Jubilation 40, which is a masterpiece of a perfume. And so I was very curious to try Reasons. And Reasons, to me, it's the most disappointing of the three. Not because it smells bad, but really because it's the most uninspiring of the three. Because it's basically like a green, woody, almost slightly aromatic, green, woody, piney fragrance. It's basically this. Again, very soft. I would even say that it's softer than Lustre. Again, at least on test strip. And didn't really impress me that much. I didn't felt any difference, any changes here. Unlike, for example, Lustre. In Reasons, it was just this, like a green, slightly aromatic, woody, piney fragrance. Again, smells nice, pleasant, but even Amouage has so many better fragrances in their portfolio within this genre, thinking immediately of Epic Man and Journeyman, also Memoir Man, and even Memoir Woman, even better. So Amouage has better fragrances in their catalog that are in this genre, more complex, more rich, more thick, intense, daring fragrances, more special in the end fragrances. And Reasons is not that, absolutely not that. So it was the one that really disappointed me the most. And then we have Outlands. And Outlands is the one that everyone talks about because it was created by Cécile Sorokian, and I mean, it seems like Cécile Sorokian now has a massive fan base. So yes, it seems like everyone is appreciating her work, especially Outlands, and I do like her work, to be honest. Now, Outlands actually is the one that I think it's my favorite of the three, at least so far, also because I already tested on skin. But definitely the one, even on the test strip, is the one that I gravitated towards the most. Even my fiance as well, out of the three, it was her favorite from this line. And Outlands as well is not unique because it reminded me a lot of Nishane's Annie, which was also created by Cécile Sorokian, and I have Annie. It's a wonderful citrusy, sparkly, ginger, lemony, vanilla fragrance. And Outlands definitely has that DNA. It definitely starts off with a boost of this sparkly, zesty, citrusy nuances like this lemon, bergamot, just like you can feel in Annie, but it has more layers. Outlands also has the vanilla, and the vanilla here, again, really resembles to Nishane's Annie, like that same type of vanilla. Very creamy, almost like ice cream-ish. But Outlands does have more complexity, more layers. You have rose, you still have a bit of an incense, you have spices in there, have an herbal nuance also with some coriander. So definitely more complex, much more layers going on in Outlands when compared with Annie, of course. But still, it has a bit of Annie in there. But again, with more things, more layers, more rich, thicker, more resinous, I would also say, definitely more resinous than Annie. So in the end, Outlands ends up being my favorite, at least to this day. but again, I need to try and test the 3 of them on my skin properly to really give a proper review. But so far, Outlands, I would say it's my favorite. Now, this whole line, these fragrances are also high priced. I think they are also 490 euros for 100 ml. Again, overpriced. They are completely not worth the price tag. Again, these 3 fragrances, while all of them are nice, but not enough to immediately think in purchasing a full bottle of, which is a shame, really. So out of these 5 fragrances that I tried from Amouage, Purpose 50 ended up being the one that, okay, I really want to give a second chance, and eventually we'll buy a bottle of it for, again, a decent price, not paying full retail. And then let's see with the Essences collection, maybe not. I will buy a bottle of either Outlands or Lustre, but again, we will see what will be my opinion in the future. But for now, this is it regarding to Amouage. The next fragrance, this is a new release from Orto Parisi. Orto Parisi is a brand that I don't have any bottle of, but I do appreciate a few of their offerings. So this brand was founded by Alessandro Gautieri, which is also the same founder of Nasomato, which I have 2 bottles of, Pardon and Baraonda, which I purchased a few years ago. Still love those 2, and I definitely want to add a couple more Nasomatos to my collection. And I also want to add a few fragrances from Orto Parisi, like Quoium, Megamare, Bergamasque, Terroni, and they have another one that I'm forgetting the name. But yes, they have quite a few fragrances that I really do appreciate. And so I was curious to try their, I think, hopefully I will not butchering the name, but I think I will, Risvelium, I don't know, let me know how you pronounce it properly, but Risvelium, this is an interesting one. I really like the cap, especially the top of the cap. It's like this eye, the iris, and the eye itself, which was very Lord of the Rings like, which I really appreciated the touch. But the scent itself, it was very disappointing. I love the opening. My fiance said she has the same opinion. The opening is amazing. It's this burst of bergamot and green and fresh, and it's alive. It's literally like spring, you know, when spring arrives and everything starts to bloom, everything comes alive. So it's exactly the opening of this new fragrance from Orto Parisi. From there, it's a train wreck, because for me, I only get this weird chemical synthetic molecule. I don't know what it is, because I think the brand is not giving any note breakdown of this fragrance, but it really is like some sort of chemical product that I get from this smell, that it turns my stomach, literally turns my stomach. And it was so intense. From the opening, I just got that I really needed to scrub my wrist, actually, because I sprayed it on my wrist. I needed to scrub it, and still it was present, and it kept being present till the end of the day. It was really horrible experience. Unfortunately, again, I really appreciate Orto Parisi brand, but this one, oh, definitely not for me. The next fragrance, this is from the house of Etat Libre d'Orange, and it's Clean Suede. Now, this is not exactly a brand new release. This is more of a rebranding of the fragrance which was previously called Tom of Finland, which has this cult follow. Now, I don't remember how Tom of Finland smells like to compare it with Clean Suede. What I do know is that I really appreciated Clean Suede, and is the one that, out of all of the fragrances that I tried on Saturday, is the one that I would really consider to have a full bottle of. Clean Suede is literally how the name implies. It's clean, fresh suede fragrance. Now, it starts off with this mild aldehydic quality, it's citrusy, that goes into a very creamy, almost vanilla-like in suede, type of accord. It's so pleasant, so comforting, so easy to wear. And I really liked it. I really genuinely like the fragrance, how it smells. Very versatile, very pleasant, very elegant, and comforting at the same time. And the performance, it's okay. Definitely, I also tried on my skin, Clean Suede, and when compared with the Amouage that I like, Purpose, Guidance, and even the Risvelium from Orto Parisi, Clean Suede, performance-wise, really didn't stand out, but smell-wise, it's quite nice. And last, but not least, this is from the house of Maison Crivelli, a brand that I do appreciate 3 fragrances, and pretty much that's it. And I already have 2 of the fragrances that I enjoyed from them, which are Iris Malicam and Oud Maracuja. And that's about it. But I do also appreciate, and I do want to have a full bottle of Patchouli Magnétique. And with Patchouli Magnétique, I will be done with the brand. I'm overall not a massive fan of Maison Crivelli. I think, especially their extraits, they are not very balanced. Basically, this brand is all about performance and being loud. And whilst I do appreciate in a couple of the fragrances like Patchouli Magnétique and Oud Maracuja, but it shouldn't be just like that. I think fragrances should have some story to tell, some complexity, some depth, not just like put some ingredients, some molecules and make it perform like a beast. Which is the case of Safran Secret. Now, Safran Secret, again, not a new, entirely new release. This is also a rebranding of a fragrance that was previously called Ingredients 07/2012. Now, I never tried that version, but what I can say about Safran Secret is that it seems that it was created by AI. Everything about these fragrances is very much synthetic. Now, I'm not saying that all fragrances should have natural ingredients. Most of the fragrances that I own, they have synthetics. And that's totally fine by me. The thing is how you use the synthetics. That's my issue. Because if the fragrance smells exactly very harsh, very chemically, very synthetic-like, it's not very pleasant to my nose. If a fragrance has, of course, synthetic nuances, but come across as a natural smelling scent, depending on what the fragrance wants to represent, that for me is the best. So that's just to let it out there. So, but it's not the case, again, it's not the case of Safran Secret. Again, it seems like a robotic, chemical type of scent. Very metallic, more than chemical, I would say metallic. It's a robotic metallic fragrance. All I get is like this metallic saffron with, guess what? Tons of Akigala wood. And again, I do like both saffron and I do like Akigala wood, but in dose. I don't want basically to smell like Akigala wood and that's it. I mean, for that, then I will just buy the molecule itself and just spray myself with Akigala wood. So if I want to buy a fragrance that has Akigala wood, but I'm expecting some nuances, some changes, not the case with Safran Secret. Again, to me, to my nose, on my skin, another fragrance that I tried on my skin. And it was basically that, doesn't develop, it's literally, actually, I'm lying because it starts actually very fresh and citrusy, which fades away into this metallic, robotic, AI-like saffron and Akigala wood. Not for me, and it's one that I will gladly pass. So guys, this was it. These are my first impressions on some of the newest and hottest fragrance releases or re-releases under a different name. Let me know in the comments down below if you already tried any of these fragrances. What are your take on these fragrances if you already tried any of them? And if you find value in the video, hit the like button, subscribe, check out all the other fragrance contents that I have available, and see you in the next one. Take care, guys, and see you in the next one.